Welcome to Art Speak with Kate. I am Kate Brown. This time we're going to visit many artist studios from Black Creek to Parksville. We'll visit several local artists and artisans working in their own studios. But this is only 10% of the art studios you can visit on your own art exploration. Central Island Artisan Studio Tour, an art sale, is a self-driven studio tour. One stop on the studio tour, where you can meet over 15 artists all in one location, is at the art group Comox Valley Sandpiper Studios on Hass Road between Courtenay and Royston. Let's go. Jennifer Harrison, once a busy career biologist and owner of a local plant nursery, has now found a new passion in life.
I am a gardener. I'm actually a biologist, and for a while in my life we had a garden center, and I ordered, sold, promoted, researched these rhododendrons. And so when my lovely husband took a picture of this rhodo from our garden, all of a sudden I thought, this isn't just a rhododendron. It represents all the rhododendrons I ever sold, and it's a symbol of my background.
Being a biologist, her inspiration in painting comes from the flora and fauna around her.
This squirrel here, I changed it to be a squirrel that runs along my fence. So this is my fence at the back, and this is my forest at the back. And I realized that pretty well everything I paint has to do with nature or my life. And that kind of amazed me. And this one, for example, because I'm a biologist and because I've been with the Comox Valley Nature for 23 years, I love to go in the woods with my husband and go on walks. And this is of course some mushrooms. And I see these mushrooms and I think, wow, they're all supporting one another. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I must have wanted to paint it, because it's got this other meaning for me. And it's symbolic of the support I feel in this art group.
Jennifer is so excited about art, and she's learning so many new things. A quote from Picasso suits her so well. "I'm always doing what I cannot do in order that I may learn how to do it."
I felt a bit guilty about using a grid to get the picture on the canvas. But then I heard that Leonardo da Vinci did gridding. So I thought, hey, if he can do it, then a beginning artist can do it too.
Understanding plants and animals has given Jennifer a new insight into creating art in the Comox Valley and Kate Brown. Marlette Ashley has found ways to combine her love of writing and art by using mixed media to write words within her paintings.
I write. That's something I do, and so I find language and the use of language very artistic. Like it's an artistic expression. So.
Marlette once dreamed of being a potter. She loved to make and sell pots. Her family came along. University studies, academia, writing books. Then she became a professor of English Lit. Marlette had little time for art. Now, still very busy with 2 grandchildren, she finds ways to combine her love of writing and art in visual writing.
Well, I find that it's a combination of the need to express myself in some ways. I find literature very inspiring. There is a poem by Carolyn Smart called October, and I think that's the first painting I did based on a poem, because I find that the inspiration that comes from literature is sort of the same inspiration that I feel when I look at a really great piece of art. And so we have the poppies and the black crow. I love crows. We can't have the dark without the light, and we can't have the light without the dark. There's a contrast there.
Some painters transform the sun into a yellow spot. Others transform the yellow spot into the sun. Pablo Picasso.
I decided to go back to some really rustic type of work. It's a block of wood, and there are layers and layers of paint on it that I've sanded off so that the background comes through. And then now I'm just embellishing it with, this will be a bird on a wire, and but it will take many, many layers and a lot of detail.
For Marlet, her palette can include everything in mixed media, from a stamp, an image, a coffee cup, a stain. The world's her oyster.
So it may look like just a little block of wood, but it'll be a work of art.
In the Comox Valley, I'm Kate Brown. Alias Rembrandt van Rijn. Peter Molenaar grew up in Amsterdam, studied art and formal training of the Dutch masters like Rembrandt and Vermeer.
I think in the landscape painting, I don't like to paint the foreground very much, so I spent all my time painting the clouds, the sky.
His father bought a set of paints for himself, but he didn't use them. Young Peter picked up a brush and started to paint a scene of the canals around him. The painting won first place in a competition. On receiving his award, the judge remarked, "Your dad painted that for you." Peter was crushed, but now he takes it as quite a compliment.
A very good drawer when I was a kid, and when I was 12 he took me to the art shop in Amsterdam and he started to paint, and he said to me, "You finish it," and that's when I started to paint. So I was 12 years old.
Life took Peter and his young family to emigrate to Canada and then to the US. Peter worked as a hotel chef in Hawaii and returned to Portland, Oregon, and then to Sawasan, where he opened up a couple of delicatessens businesses. Not until early 2000, when his wife, Marlet, presented paintings to galleries, that things took off.
Since I met Marlet, it was in 1999, I have been painting a lot more than before, because Marlet went to the galleries with my paintings. And well, yeah, they said, okay, but they wanted to talk to me because I made them, not because and that's how I got into galleries. And then I really started to paint, and especially when I retired, and I started to paint even more, of course.
Peter loves to paint in the Dutch style, with the vast, flat landscapes, the wide open skies and clouds. Peter Molenaar Clouds. Peter now sells in art galleries throughout Canada, in Calgary, Salt Spring Island and Waterton, and is featured in many national art magazines such as Arabella. Give me a museum and I will fill it. Pablo Picasso. Peter gets up early every day and paints to keep up with demand. So you're the real Dutch master?
Only in this part of the world.
In the Comox Valley, I'm Kate Brown. Colour, light and form are Sharon Lalonde's muse.
Well, light is the way light hits clouds and the water and the leaves, and the dimension, trying to create on a two-dimensional surface what we see in the world, especially in our beautiful Comox Valley world, that is that depth of light and movement. I'm not sure if I capture it all the time, but I guess that's my goal.
Sharon Lalonde started her career as an art teacher, but soon became more involved in administration and teaching. On moving from Calgary to the Comox Valley, Sharon found time to take up and play with paint again.
I was 20 when I started teaching, and I'd done my fine arts degree from 17. And I think my older self has a better, more perspective on things, just in many ways. There's many years behind me now, so I'm coming back to painting with
a new sort of discipline maybe, and patience, and open to what is there to be taught.
Inspiration comes from many places, whether it's camping or walking through the forest or climbing the steps at Goose Spit.
This is my niece and her friend are just emerging in the bottom. They were traveling in New Zealand, and I think probably were exhausted by their travels, and they've just put up the tent and finally got to sit. And this is the view they were looking at.
Colours, like features, follow the changes of the emotions. Colour, light and form are Sharon's passion.
I think that having this new, seeing it for the first time experience has given me lots of material for painting.
In the Comox Valley, I am Kate Brown. Once a Parks and Recreation planner in Vancouver, Peter Rutgers can now be found in an artisan tent at the Philburg Festival with unique arts and crafts wood items with a twist. Here's Mark Hanley to tell us more.
With the flip of a switch, the transformation starts from rough to functionality.
Well, what I enjoy is taking a rough piece of lumber and turning it into something that's both beautiful and functional.
Working with wood is Peter's passion, and he loves all aspects of the creation process.
That transformation of the rough lumber into a piece of furniture is something that I enjoy. I also enjoy the design aspect of it, like what should it look like, and how can we make it nicer? Should we use inlay? Should we use relief? Should elements be floating? Should they be suspended? And for some of those tricky things like floating and suspension, how can you achieve it? And working out the technical details is something that interests me quite a bit.
Wood has always been part of Peter's life. In his professional career, he worked for the city of Vancouver. A great deal of that work was focused on city parks and trees. His passion for woodworking started with one project and grew from there.
Well, I did make a few things for family members at home. I made a desk for my son. That was, I think, the first big project that I did. And then I made a couple of beds that were well received by family members. And yeah, and then it sort of went on.
Now in retirement, he has founded with his wife Kate, Sandpiper Arts and Crafts Woodworking Studio. His passion has become a full-time vocation.
But basically you make all these individual slats, and then you have to cut out grooves at top and bottom, and they have to be held together, and unfortunately you can't see that, but there's canvas material behind that holds a little bit unique and a curve in it.
At the Woodworking Studio in Royston with artist Peter Rutgers, I'm Mark Hanley.
Pam always liked to play with art as a child. It takes a long time to become young. Pablo Picasso. Tucked away in the corner of a garage, the studio is a busy yet tranquil place, surrounded by an array of colourful, happy, joyful paintings. Pam mixes colours on her glass palette. Painting is Pam's passion.
And I've always done things with my hands, from as a girl learning to do embroidery with my grandmother, to sewing with my mother, to dried flower arrangements, Father Christmases, always.
Hope, love, joy, peace are words on a Buddhist prayer flag hanging above her workbench. These are some of the inspiring elements Pam incorporates into her art.
This one's getting really busy, so it's got to stop soon. I've got to take out some of the busyness, and then I just have to make sure that the colors are blended well enough, and I'm done.
Art is fun for all ages. Painting is a great way to do things with grandkids.
This is my grandson. He would have been 3 up in Grand Prairie, and he was catching snowflakes. And I took this picture of him, and his cheeks were bright red, and he was just so sweet.
Pam works in layers, ever changing the art, ever evolving, taking on many twists and turns.
And that's the shape of the milkweed. And then, I don't know, just the peas came in because they're pod-shaped. I mean, the flower's out of my head, so they could be anything. When I have paints left, I put them on a canvas, just willy-nilly, and then when I think I've got a nice build-up of colors, then I'll start doing a painting. So it could take weeks.
A revelation of how an artist's mind and subconscious transform on canvas before our very eyes. How does it feel when a painting sells?
Over the moon and beyond. Right, over the moon and beyond, yeah. And the fact that I have sold paintings blows me away, but I'm honored and thrilled and all those positive, wonderful things.
For more information on Pam Font's art, go to artgroupofthecomoxvalley.net or visit her at Central Island Studio Tour, May 27, 28 and 29. In the Comox Valley, I am Kate Brown. To quote Pablo Picasso, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. Sabina Arends found the solution to play and create with colored glass.
It just cooled down to a temperature of 100 Fahrenheit and we're ready to open it and see what will come out.
Oh, look at those. What gems, what colors.
Nice bright colors, and this one here is my favorite. It's called Pink Champagne and it's an iridescent glass.
During the past years, Sabine has worked in different methods, creating unique mosaics, stepping stones, stained glass and fused glass art. Both materials and techniques leave one-of-a-kind results.
So what I'm doing is I have a base layer of glass that is clear. I'll fill it up with different pieces of glass to create a second layer, and then I'm adding at the end small tiny pieces, almost like mosaic pieces, to create some interest as a top third layer.
Sabine likes to create work that is simply unique. Eye-catching jewellery, vessels and wall art.
And there is some silver in the layers of glass that I fused together. These pieces are 2 or 3 times fired, and the chemicals that were used to create the glass react with the silver, and they just have beautiful effects. I cut it up, I play with the pieces, and I find that very nice that I can actually see how it most likely will turn out, or I can work on the balance.
Sabine's work and studio will be on show at the Comox Valley Art Studio Tour, May 27, 28, 29.
I love the studio tour. I moved to the island 3 years ago, and right away Bonnie and Bill contacted me. They started the studio tour, and it just is a hit, especially because with my glasswork it's very hard to pack everything and go to places, so it's wonderful when I can open the doors and people can come and see how I work, how my workshop is organized, and where maybe a potential workshop would happen.
There will be over 100 open artist studios showing their work from Parksville to Campbell River. Join us again for Art Speak with Kate. In the Comox Valley, I am Kate Brown.